Hi, everybody. My name is Dan Budak. I'm the Director of Admissions at Vermont Law and Graduate School. I just celebrated my 1 year anniversary working at Vermont Law and Graduate School, and it is just about to be mud season again here in Vermont. And it's such a wonderful time of year to have all of our newly admitted students connecting with us and coming to chat and figure out what's next. This is our Ask Me Anything session. Or maybe we should call it Ask Us Anything, since there are a handful of us on the call to help answer any of your questions. This is an event fueled by your questions. So as you think of them, as you would like to ask any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. I will monitor along with my colleague Shirley, and we'll keep an eye out for questions coming up. We'll try to do our best to organize them and maybe consolidate some questions. If there's a big question about financial aid or something like that, we'll kind of consolidate that. And then we have a wonderful student panel as well. Our 2Ls are crushing it in their OHJD program, so you'll get their expertise as well. I'm going to hand it over to Dean Katie Merrill, our Dean of Admissions.
Hi, everybody. I'm so pleased to be here this evening. I've been with Vermont Law for 12 years, and I really love the online hybrid program, and I'm excited to talk about it today. This is more than just a law degree. It's a chance to create opportunities for people who might not have had a chance to attend law school, whether you're in a rural area, serving in the military, raising a family, or the first to pursue a law degree. Our flexible program fits your life, not the other way around. You know, we're here for you. I love our curriculum. It's robust, dynamic. I feel we have a great online learning platform, but we also have that personal in-person residencies. I was just talking to the 2Ls. I'm counting the days till June because it's fun. It's a terrific group, and you know, we become friends and we form communities. You have the same shared professors who bring academic excellence, practical experience into the classroom. And I feel like the learning opportunities are transforming, and they give you real world skills that you can apply immediately. And maybe that's a future question. I was like, oh, are you guys using what you're learning already in your careers? Again, I'm really excited about the community we built. I feel like I truly know you. It will one day, we'll do this session for the next group of students coming in, and we'll talk about your kids, about Mary Kay, about your cat, and just life, like just life. You know, the moments when the kiddo runs into the room or the kitty walks across the camera, it keeps that community building. I feel like the program represents our commitment to legal education, making it accessible, inclusive, and impactful. And I'm really proud of our students, and I'm very grateful for them. So thank you all, and thank you all for making this journey. As you're going to hear through the day, it's a big ask, and you can do it. So that's what I wanted to drop in and say, but I want to also pass it on to my colleague, Shirley Crawford, who we started together and has really championed this program. And you might all actually know Shirley by now. So Shirley, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. So I'm the Associate Director of JD Enrollment at Vermont Law and Grad School, and have been working with this program from its get-go. One of the things that I'm just going to touch on tonight is what I think is unique about our hybrid program compared to other programs out there. To me, I think it's the convenience of the program. This program has only 3 residencies. You'll do one in your first year. It'll be September 4th to the 7th. You'll do one in your second year, the first weekend in June. All the residencies will only be scheduled a Thursday to a Sunday. Third year, you will not have a residency. And fourth year, you just have your one final semester, and that's the last time that you'll come to Vermont. And when I say come to Vermont, you're not going to come to our main campus. You're going to come into our Burlington, Vermont campus. And we do the residencies there because it's 5 minutes from the biggest airport in the state of Vermont. And you won't need to rent a car. You'll be able to Uber or get the airport shuttle to get you over to the hotel. Aside from that convenience, all your classes are taught in either asynchronous or synchronous form. The asynchronous classes, you don't need to be available any particular time of day for, but in synchronous classes will only be scheduled Monday through Thursday evenings in the window of 6 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. And you won't necessarily have a class 4 times a week covering that entire window. Your first semester, the fall semester, you're going to have more synchronous classes than you will at any other time in your program. So you'll probably have to be available 3 of those evenings. Again, not necessarily for that entire window. The classes will all start at either 6 or 6:30, and they may go for an hour and a half, or they might go, for the full 3 hours or so. One of the next thing I think that makes the program so unique is that we have 6 specializations, and they're all things that Vermont Law School does specializations that we do in an outstanding way. We're renowned for our environmental programs. You can specialize in environmental law, energy law, food and agricultural law, animal law. I said animal law already, right? What am I missing? Katie, help me. I think maybe I did say the 4. And then we have restorative justice as well as general practice. General practice is going to cover business and corporate law, some criminal law, some family law, a little trust and estates, and some real property, and a little tax law. And if you want, like if you're a little torn between 2 specializations, you can talk to the director, and you're always welcome to sample a class or 2 from one of the other specializations with his permission. This program is set up for people that are working full time. So occasionally some of you will ask me, like, I need to quit my job or whatever. Absolutely not. You don't need to. Everybody in here is working, pretty much 9 to 5. Some of the people in the program right now have jobs that have like a busier season. Sometimes they have to work a little bit more. They seem to be able to work that out and manage it. Because we recognize that people are working, the program is set up without the opportunity to have a legal work experience, such as an externship, because 97% of you probably are not able to stop working for a whole semester and earning your salary to be able to take advantage of that. So for those of you that cannot do an externship, you will be with the majority, and you will be taking simulation classes. They're really realistic. You'll have simulation classes with, for a real trial, a closing, a mediation, and arbitration, so that you'll be prepared for all the legal events that you may come across in your practice after you graduate. One of the other big things that we do that no other school, well, maybe other schools are doing it, I haven't been made aware of that yet, but we pay for bar prep for you all. So the minute you finish the program in December of that 4th year, we have paid for Barbary, the top bar preparer, to prepare you for the bar exam in whatever state that you plan to take it in. And it'll be taught in the same synchronous and asynchronous format that you're accustomed to in this program. We also do a program on the front end that Barbary runs called Lawyering Fundamentals that prepares you for law school. So once you're fully deposited, you'll get an invitation to be a part of that program. I just heard from one of the students also admitted to this cohort that he was looking into paying for that himself, and it was going to cost $1,000. So it's a great advantage. And I hear from the students that have done it in the last 2 years that they found it really helpful. And I guess I send it back to you, Katie.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Shirley. I appreciate it. So I'm going to get us rolling, and I want to introduce the most important people that you all want to hear from, our wonderful 2Ls. I have Brittany, hailing from Colorado Springs, background court clerk, and mom and animal lover, loves the outdoors too. Alicia, Alicia, teaching assistant. And I want to say something about Alicia really bringing our class together. So Alicia has done a lot to create the community, give opportunities for our online students, and has become such a leader. So, and she's Utah. So I'm a Utah girl too. So I love our Utah folks. And last but not least, Robbie. Robbie, this is someone we all should know. He's a leadership trainer, so he's a good person to have in your Rolodex. And Rolodex, I can't believe I said that, so that ages me a little bit. And he is a Marine, retired Marine, right, Robbie? Yes, yes, retired Marine, hoorah, and a dad, and Alicia's a mom too. So they're a working family and have so much respect. I think we have a ton of questions, but I'll start us off with one is, how should they be preparing to start this big journey, the online hybrid JD? And then I'll start with Robbie, and then you guys can jump in, and then Dan, I guess you'll feed questions. Okay, all right. Hey, let's start this journey.
Well, thanks for the question. I'm thrilled to see everyone and colleagues, Alicia and Brittany and all the deans and professors here, as well as you guys. Something to do to prepare for law school is just to take a breath and enjoy your time beforehand. I think a lot of the times, especially me in particular, I over-researched the life of a 1L, and it became pretty overwhelming, especially because this online hybrid program is just completely different than what most people experience. So before your first class, like I said, spend time with your family and your friends because your schedule will change. Find a nice, comfortable spot to where you can study, read, and focus on your academics when the time comes, and just really enjoy yourself before that first day.
I want to pass to Brittany.
Yeah, so my piece of advice would probably be similar to Robbie's, because you lose a lot of time. And I think, especially for me, I've lost a lot of time that I had with my friends and family, and that's been a little bit rough, just because I'm studying so much and I'm doing a lot of, club stuff and doing the involvement piece like how we're doing tonight. So I'd say definitely get in that friends and family time and prepare them for what that's going to look like. I will be in class, I will have to study, it's going to take time, and just let them know that you're going to be a little bit more distant, and that you might need help not being a little bit more distant. So yeah, that's similar to Robbie's, but
Alicia.
I think that maybe I need to listen to Robbie and Brittany a little more. I sacrifice sleep instead. So I need to learn how to be less present during the day so I can sleep more at night. But I would say my biggest piece of advice is just to get involved. There are so many things on campus, and the school in general is working so hard to be inclusive. If there is a student group that you're interested in being a part of, they are all working hard to make sure that activities are available both online and in person. And I think I saw a question about activities like journal, and that you can be involved in those from wherever you are. And they've increased the number of spots for OHJD students on the journals. They are working to, like, I know I'm a 2L senator right now, and then having Robbie, Brittany, and I as ambassadors is a new thing with our class, and they're just having the new applications just went out for more ambassadors to be added, and OHJ students can do that. So just finding those opportunities to get involved and to stay involved. when you see something that you want to do, just ask and you'll find a way to get it done. We have wonderful faculty that's pushing to let that happen. I want to do intense, and now I forgot the name of it, the trial practice class, the intensive trial practice. It's not currently available, but we're working to get it so that we can participate and compete. So if it's not something that's already set up, that doesn't mean that it can't be set up. And you just have to keep asking. And the directors are really good. The deans are really good. The professors are really supportive. And that would be the other thing. The professors are just people. Don't be afraid to reach out to them. If you are afraid to reach out to them, don't be afraid to reach out to the TAs. Everyone's here to help.
Thank you. Dan, we got a lot of questions.
I know, and
So-
I'm trying to figure out, have we touched on a couple of the initial questions? I think we hit some. For our student panelists, what I'm really curious about is, what's your first year like? What did you experience course-wise, testing? What was kind of like your schedule in that first year?
I'll start. I think the first year for me was pretty easy because I was ready, I was geared up, I was excited, everything was new and fresh. And so, and it had been a while since I had been in school. So yeah, it was really fun and exciting, and I pushed through very easily. And so I think that piece really set me up for disappointment in 2L. And I think that when people tell you that it's a marathon and not a race, that is 100% true. And I did not take that advice. Um, because once I hit 2L, I was burning out pretty quick. So, one of the things that I wish I could have listened to was definitely that, don't go in guns a-blazing and be ready to go, try and keep it to where you're going to be putting that same amount of energy and that same amount of excitement throughout your whole law school career. Because I did not do that, and that was a little bit difficult for me.
Yeah, I think I probably want to piggyback on what Brittany said. Everyone in this room, you're probably leaders in your field or experts of your craft, and you're about to walk into a completely new environment where you won't be. And that was an adjustment from, managing teams between 13 and 30, and being an expert in what I do, to coming into an environment where you're learning how to write again, you're learning how to read again, you're learning a new language. And it's a culture shock. Like my daughter's about to be 3, and as she was learning how to speak, I was learning how to speak law. And I could understand her frustration, and I was like, oh, I'm relating to that now, 30 plus years later. So just like I said, and what Brittany said, it is definitely a marathon. Pace yourself, find your study groups and lean on each other. I think the competition type of cutthroat mentality of law school doesn't exist in the hybrid program, to a certain extent. I've never met someone that wouldn't find another hour to jump on a Teams or a Zoom call just to go over the notes from the class, whether it's right afterward or the day after. It's like constant conversations about the law. And so, we all know that we're all the experts in what we do, but you're literally walking into a new country with a new language.
That's pretty cool. How will not doing an externship affect our ability to get a job after law school? Katie and Shirley, do you have thoughts around the other experiential learning that students will be doing?
Sure. I can touch on that a little bit. One of the neat thing about this particular cohort is that you all have some work experience, as opposed to the students in our residential program who sometimes come directly from undergrad and have no work experience. That being said, we still have career services. working with you from the get-go. You are all welcome to reach out to Susan Buchanan, who's in the Career Services office, who just specializes in all of our hybrid students. She's an attorney herself. She's worked in the legal field. She's very, very knowledgeable and will help give you an awesome pathway to figure out the best route for you. Some of you are looking to change jobs and go a whole different direction. Some of you want to stay within, some of you even want to stay working for the same entity that you work for now. So for those of you, it should be very easy to do that. But again, and if you can make that externship opportunity work for you, that can be awesome. One thing I didn't mention before, and I know this is like a little bit harder challenge for you all to consider, but any of the law clinics that we offer on campus, and there are probably about 10 to 12 different law clinics that you are welcome to be a part of. You just need to ask permission, but you would have to come to campus for a semester. At least at this point in time, they're all still requiring you actually go into court for most of those law clinics, so you do need to be available to the local courthouses.
Alicia, Robbie, or Brittany, do you guys have ideas of kind of any externships that you're thinking about doing? Or yeah, Alicia, what do you want to do?
Yeah, if it's okay if I go first. I've actually already submitted my application, I guess you would call it, to Dean Locker. I have a local law firm here that does family law and just stuff like that. And I was able to speak with the managing partner, and he said he would do an externship with me. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. Well, assuming that it gets approved, I think it will. I'll be doing that starting in the fall this year.
And Alicia's example is great. It's right, where you all live. Your externship can be elsewhere too, if you want it to be, but it's awesome to be able to build your, basically your legal resume, in the community where you ultimately want to work.
Yeah, and I'm one of those that can't do an externship. Like I have a full-time job and I have to commit to it. But one of the great things about this program is, I'm in an individual research project right now sponsored by one of the professors that I look up to very highly. And it's about assessing the work-life balance and culture of both public defenders and prosecutors, which is where I want to shift my life to. And so through that, I'm navigating and I'm interviewing and I'm building connections and I'm meeting with both public defenders and prosecutors at the local level by me and the federal level. So even though I might not get a day-to-day externship, I am still building the connections and talking to them now. So when the time comes and I put in an application, I already know the people. So there are ways of getting that experience without going through the externship.
Sorry, sign up for the ABA student. I am pretty sure there's a code that Vermont Law will give you that you can get it for free, but if not, it's $25, I think, for the ABA student. I got an excellent internship my first summer. I spent the whole summer in Washington, D.C., and I interned with the ABA Center on Children and the Law in their kinship care program. And before that, in the spring, I did a remote internship with the parent defense program in the same Center of Children and the Law. So, and there are a lot of opportunities. They give you discounts on textbooks. It's just a really great place to start networking as well.
So similar to Alicia, I had somebody told me, I'm not sure who, told me that I could sign up for the Colorado Bar Association as a student. And so I signed up for the Colorado Bar Association and I got an email about continuing legal education class that I could attend for free since I'm a student, so I can attend any of those, which is super cool. So I attended one. One popped up on my email and said something about psychedelic law in Colorado because we legalized a couple of psychedelics here in Colorado. And so I took the course and I direct messaged one of the presenters, and that was a little off for me, but I felt bold, I guess. And turns out he was the director of MAPS, the Multidisciplinary Association of Psychedelic Studies, and he gave me his email, and we exchanged some emails, and I was able to get an externship with them starting next year. So that was super cool. That I think that goes to just speak to the importance of networking, number one, but also taking advantage of all of those opportunities like Alicia was talking about with like ABA and with the Colorado Bar Association or the Bar Association in your state. Taking advantage of all of those free student things that you can get is super helpful because you might make connections that you didn't expect to. So.
Mhm. I just wanted to add also that, if you do go the externship route, it's okay with Vermont Law School if the entity is willing to pay you. We're still going to give you academic credit for that. That tends to be harder to work out with that entity, but it's always worth a shot.
If the money's there, go for it. One thing that I want to kind of circle back to is, in your academics, have you interfaced with the Academic Success Program? Have you worked with the ASP folks in any capacity as online hybrid JD students?
I've spoken to academic success, like for tutoring, you mean? Is that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've met with them when I was having some questions about I think it was contracts. That was my hardest class. I feel like you either love Civ Pro and don't like contracts, or you love contracts and didn't care for Civ Pro. That's at least what I'm finding. I was a Civ Pro girl, so contracts wasn't my favorite class. But ASP was great. The students there were really helpful. And then it's really easy to schedule. Yeah, I don't know. It was good.
Yeah, I mean, I did too, especially that first semester, the first year. And what they really helped me with was just figuring out how to outline and what to focus on. Because you were hit with so much content during the class, you have to read so much in between them. It's like knowledge overload. So what to focus on, how to outline quickly, they really helped me with.
Awesome. Is there an introduction to legal writing class over the summer, or is that part of the lawyering fundamentals class? Did you all signed on? Did you do lawyering fundamentals? No. So it's a new option or new availability for students. Shirley, you want to talk a little bit more about kind of what gets covered in the online and the
Sure.
lawyering fundamentals?
Yeah, it's kind of an introduction. I don't know all the details, but it's an introduction to the American court system and, a little bit of how to brief a case and some of the basics, some basic vocabulary. It's a whole new vocabulary when you get started in law school. And again, I think you'll all find it very helpful. For those of you student panelists that are on tonight, did you all have the the Harvard Zero L course? Yeah, which was probably similar if you want to talk to that, to what the Barbary class is.
I'll speak to that because I did two of them. So I don't know if we had lawyering fundamentals. But I did do the Harvard one as well. And that one really did set me up for kind of like how Alicia was talking about how Civ Pro was a little bit more rule-based or is rule-based. You're memorizing rules and regurgitating it, whereas contracts is more case-based, where you're reading the case, you're pulling the rule from the case, and then you're analyzing fact patterns. And so I think, probably more prepared for like that rule-based stuff where you're memorizing and taking tests based off of that, just because I think that's how traditional school is. Um, and the case-based classes were a little bit harder because it's something completely new. Most of us have never done anything like that. Um, so I struggled with contracts as well. So I think that the Harvard class, both of them really prepared me for those case-based classes. And I really needed that because I would have been blindsided, I feel like. So I definitely take advantage of those. I still have notes from those as well, even about the cases, which was kind of helpful when I did take the courses because we read the same cases. So that was an interesting take. So if you do have the time and capacity, definitely take advantage of that.
Very cool. How about asynchronous classes? What's the format been for those? Have you had many asynchronous classes so far?
Yeah, so I mean, this semester is all asynchronous for me. I don't know about Brittany and Alicia, but every Sunday a module would open and it usually requires some sort of, 10 question exam. You have a paper to write, discussions to respond to, and then a participation grade can get tied into an office hours that the professor hosts weekly. So the deadlines are really class based, but you kind of have your whole week to manage your time around those deadlines. It's a gift and a curse. And yeah, I think Alicia and I went back and forth on evidence on whether we should do it asynchronous or synchronous. And she can yell at me later, but we're doing it asynchronous. And just everything you're learning and digesting, you're learning it by yourself, and there's not a lot of collective discussion like what we're having here. So think about how you learn before you jump into all asynchronous. But yeah, that's where we are. That's what I'm doing.
Um, how is the 1L year? Because are you classes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Does it change each semester? Because 1L year is mostly synchronous. Is that right? And then how do you balance that with your job?
So it's just 3 days a week. I say just, it seems like a lot at the time. It's 3 days a week. And at least for the first semester, each class, if I'm remembering correctly, was just 3 credit hours, which was a lot easier. Which meant classes started at 4:30 Eastern time. And that was more manageable for my schedule. When they start at 4 o'clock Eastern time, that's when life becomes a little more difficult. No, I'm mixing that up. It's 4:30 my time. So when they start at 4:30 my time, it's manageable. When they start at 4 o'clock my time, that's when it starts becoming difficult because of my family life. Um, but the 3 days a week wasn't too bad. And I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, did we have our first asynchronous class the second semester? So we had 3 synchronous the first semester, two synchronous the second, and 1 asynchronous. Maybe not. Maybe it was the summer that we started asynchronous, but um, it was not too bad. I felt like I still had time to study. So with the 3 days a week, that still gave me one day that if I wanted to meet with my study group, I could meet with my study group. I had time to focus on my reading. There was time to, well, I told you again, I sacrificed my sleep for my family time. So I still had my family time, but really the class that was the most difficult time-wise, maybe not content-wise, but time-wise for me was the legal writing. Legal writing is completely different than any other writing. It's not the same as a research paper. It's not the same as creative writing or an English assignment. And so I spent hours on my briefs, and it wasn't unusual for me to spend 20 hours on my legal writing assignment. And I'm not saying that I'm average. I know I took a long time on my legal writing course. And so that was probably where I spent my most time first and second semester was in my legal writing course.
I've heard some stirring and there have been some questions. I'm really curious about what advising looks like and course selection. It sounds like your first year is pretty rigid, and then is there flexibility in the courses? How many courses are you taking in your 2L year?
So 2L, we've been I think three classes, or yeah, 3 or 4, but they are split up. So we'll have one full semester class and then a couple half semester classes. So that has been super helpful, I think, to relieve some of that pressure that Alicia was talking about earlier with 1L, and 3 days of class. So like once you get into those semesters where they're broken up into those chunks, it's definitely a lot more manageable. It's still a lot, don't get me wrong, but it is definitely more manageable. I think the asynchronous classes as well. I think once you have one, if you have one that's asynchronous and one that's synchronous, it's a little bit easier to balance. And same thing when they're all asynchronous. We've had that. And that's also a little bit easier to manage because you can move your time around. As for like picking the classes, it's really nice because they are already picked for your first year, so you don't even have to think about that. Um, and to swap out classes that you may not like or want to take, the director will, all you got to do is shoot him an email and he'll meet with you and talk you through it. I know bankruptcy, I took it this semester and I was a little worried about it. I wasn't sure I was going to like it. So I just, talked to the director and he talked me off a ledge about it and it was great. And I took it and it was a really cool class. And so he was super accommodating when I was, on the ledge of not wanting to take it, and he was willing to swap something out, and we even talked about the alternatives. So.
Um, the advisors are, so you don't have, Professor Powell right now is the program director and he's your advisor, and they're expanding that so there will be more because the classes are getting larger. And you don't meet with them during the first semester because your classes are all set for that first semester. And then you'll meet with them to talk about what your courses will look like going forward. But when you pick your pathway, that kind of picks all of your courses. You don't have to think about it at all if you don't want to. If you are just like, I know I want to do environmental law, I'm just going to follow this pathway, you're done, you're set. You don't ever have to think about it. You don't have to worry about it. The registrar does all of your classes for you. You never have to do that thing where you have to get on at midnight and hope you get into the class that you needed because there's 20 million people trying to register for that same class. It's so easy, and I really like that part of it. I don't like to follow the pathways. And so I probably give Professor Powell a headache. I look at everything. I look at what's offered in every pathway. I look at what's offered online at the school. And I decide if I want to take something from a different pathway, if I want to take something that's offered online instead. I've changed a lot of my classes. One semester, we only had 7 credit hours, and I decided I just wanted to take another class. So I just added another class then. And then you can do other things, like there's a course being offered this summer. They're only taking 18 students and you have to apply. It happens to be over the residency period, and it's not on any of the pathways. So I did apply, but now I also have to submit an appeal to the Committee on Standards to be able to go to that because it's over the time period that our residency is. So I have to be excused from the residency, but if that doesn't work out, like I don't get accepted or I don't get my appeal approved, I have another class I want to take, but then it'll put me over the normal 10 credits. I'll be at 11 credits. So I have to submit another appeal for that. But everybody's really supportive. They show you how to file appeals. They help you find the regulations in the student handbook. They want you to do what you want to do. It's your experience. It's your law school experience. And so if you want to take 11 credits instead of 10, and you can explain to them why you should do that, they'll let you do it.
No one should be shocked that getting in and out of law school classes requires appeals and written briefs to get through the process. I've seen a couple of questions about your interactions with the residential students. So the folks who are on campus in in person here. Can you talk about ways you've engaged with the residential students?
Sure. Like I said, like Alicia, Brittany, and I are ambassadors, and what's that? We're advocates and representatives for the cohorts, and so we are online hybrid ambassadors because there's a significant amount of residential ambassadors. So we meet and help run programs together that have an online component. I'm the co-chair of the Veterans Law Society, and the majority of those folks are residential, so there's a lot of interaction there. That's more on the social end, but in academia, there's a handful of courses I've taken that have residential students in it. They're just taking it from their apartments or their dorm rooms.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good mix.
I know many of our 3L residential students will take advantage of online classes in order to do externships or semester in practice, that type of thing. So I know we've got a good mix in a lot of those elective courses. Any other, I'm like scrambling through to see if there are questions we didn't answer. I really want to thank both our current students for answering a lot of these questions and for you all contributing as potential students or incoming students, contributing to the conversation as well. I keep seeing names that I don't recognize, and I'm excited to know that you all are already sharing tips and tricks. You're going to make a really great cohort. I think it builds good community even starting now. Does anyone have?
I do. I have a question.
Yeah.
So I'm, and I saw it kind of in here, and I'm a office supply, like, how'd you all set up your office? Because, I think that's really important. Like, people were asking about, what, like what to do. And we're like, spend time with family, read books, sit on the beach. I think also like make everything in your life as streamlined as you possibly can, like your bills on auto pay. So, those things don't come into your mind. You're just worried about law school and your family and work. But tell me about like your office setups. Do you have like your own office? Are you at the kitchen table?
Right now I'm in my bedroom with my cat. Because my partner and most of my kids, we'll say most of them, are sick right now. So I was just up here just in case somebody needs something. But usually I'm in the basement with my husband because he does work from home. So we work next to each other in our own little desk with our screens. And that's great. We have a little Star Wars cutout too, so that's fun. Um, but as for like super important or like cool little office gadgets that I got for law school, one of the things was like a book holder, and I don't have it because I'm not downstairs. But it's like a foldable like book stand that you can put your book on, and it has like a little hand that will hold the pages for you and stuff. And that has been the biggest because I do have this. I mean, you can see they're huge, right? That has been the biggest help for me because it stands up. I can, do my brief straight from my book, and I don't have to mess with it. So I think that is my biggest, like, must have for school. So other than that, and I'm an Office fan too. Other than that, and like rainbow pens, that's like the only thing that I would, definitely recommend.
Yeah, I mean, we moved twice since I started law school, which I don't recommend. But then we finished our basement, and I have an office here. A few things I recommend putting in it is two screens, like Brittany hit it on the head. Like, in a synchronous environment, you have one screen that has all the chat heads on it, like the Brady Bunch, and then you can have another screen that has your notes in it. I invested in a tablet. And so a lot of the times I can take all my notes on OneNote, which is where I live on, and I can take my tablet everywhere I go to annotate or read when I have breaks. And then you can also get like PDFs of the textbooks and dump them onto OneNote, and then you can like red pen them and things like that. So invest in something you can travel with along with a good sturdy setup?
I got a new laptop. My laptop was really old and it was big. I bought it when I was going through my digital scrapbooking phase, and I wanted a really huge screen, and so I got one that was more portable and up to the challenge of law school. So if you don't have a good laptop, I would suggest maybe investing in one.
And if some of you are on the road, I recently got a portable screen that if you travel for work that you can bring, and it just connects to your computer, and so you can create that double screen. It's been a game changer for me. That and notepads and sticky pads and pens and highlighters.
Katie has very specific pencil needs.
Yes, I do.
They're very fancy pencils.
I do have fancy
For
pencils.
for
I don't know where they are.
I saw a really, I think, very practical question about books. How do you get your books? And are you reading hard copies, or are there digital copies that you can access?
I do both. And I was just trying to think. There's one publisher, is it West Academic? If you purchase the digital copy, you can get a printed copy for $50. It's not hardbound, and it doesn't have the normal thickness of pages. They're kind of thinner, but it's just $50. And it's kind of cool because it comes with your name on it. It's called a print on demand. So then you can have both the hard copy and the digital copy. And I like having that for if I'm traveling or in the car. You can listen to it from either the West Academic website or download it to Speechify or whatever. And then sharing books, I like to share my books with people. So like I mailed all of my 1L books to someone who's a 1L right now earlier this year because I don't keep them.
I think I'm the same as Alicia. Like I like buying the books new. They're a little more expensive, but then you can get the code to have it online. And like I said, if you have a tablet and you want to travel around a little bit, or if you find the PDFs and then can upload them into a tablet, like you kind of get the best of both worlds.
No, our bookstore is nonprofit. So we have a nonprofit bookstore that's student run. It's not owned by the law school. It's owned by a student board. So they can be helpful. A lot of times, especially your first semester 1L, when you're trying to figure out it, they're very helpful. And then once you kind of figure out, oh, okay, this is how I like to read my books. And I love that you guys pass those books on. That's really amazing. I know there's a lot of talk about bar prep, and your 2Ls and the bar's a little ahead, but Dean McCormick's going to host a next generation bar session. So she's going to host that, I think, next week. Surely I'll put that in there. But as 2Ls, are you finding them incorporating any bar prep? How is that going so far?
Yeah, I think that's. Oh, I'm sorry. Keep going. Well, no, I think a lot of our exams and writing assignments are based around how the bar expects you to perform. So a lot of the exams that have multiple choice questions, if you will, usually have a mixture of bar questions on it. The professors might not write every single question that you're examined on. Along with the countless hours of writing, you learn how to format a response in the way that the bar examiners want you to write. So every class somewhat prepares you for the bar.
I agree with that. And then on top of that, the last 2 semesters of the program, there's a course you take, I think it's called BEST, and it's all about prep for the bar. And then I guess it's not this semester, but right after you graduate, like Dean Merrill was saying, we have access to the Barbary program. And I love Barbary. And especially, and I said it already, I'm a Civ Pro girly, but the Civ Pro program, or like the Civ Pro outline in Barbary, was amazing. I loved listening to the lectures and I thought they were super helpful. And for the MPRE, we do the Barbary prep, and that was really helpful. I've already taken the MPRE because in Utah, it's good for up to 3 years. Anyway, I can take it. And I did the MPRE prep through Barbary, and it was really helpful, and I passed super easy with it. So I'm not concerned about bar prep. I think that I'll be ready.
Just to add on what Alicia was just referring to, MPRE prep stands for Multi-State Professional Responsibility and Ethics Preparation. It's one of 3 bar courses that are part of your 87 to 90 credits in this program. You take it over the, I guess with the spring semester of your 2L year, and then it's offered in most every state that you can knock that section of the bar off early because you're all studied up from the exam. It makes perfect sense to take it at that time. I assume you passed, Alicia?
All right, we're creeping up on 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I want to see if you all are wise, wonderful 2L students have any other kind of big picture thoughts as our students are considering their next steps and weighing the options of coming to Vermont Law and Graduate School.
Yeah, this really is a small supportive community. We talked a little bit about, working with professors, and I mean, every professor is going to know you as a person and your background. I think that's something that's really unique about the online hybrid program, and I'm not sure if the residential students have it the same, but like we all come with professional experiences. We all come with a separate type of decorum, and I think the conversations we have with our professors, even during the class setting, it's more fruitful because we can add to it a little more. And they all know my children. I know we talk about our vacations. Like Vermont Law and Graduate School really is a family type community, and it's just a really great place to learn. And you guys earned your spots here, and I'm thrilled to see you join it. And my email, I think Alicia and Brittany put theirs in there too, is don't be afraid to ask questions, folks. I mean, we check our email all the time. Like, take it, copy it down, and if something happens afterward, feel free to reach out.
And I'll plan to share the recording, contact information, and I think I can get access to the chat to share the questions that were answered in the chat so that folks have that information as well. Shirley.
Dan,
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, someone asked about graduation, and Alicia, Robbie, Brittany, have you guys heard? I don't know. Right now, we just have 1 graduation, but I don't know if we'll move it to 2. I don't think look at Alicia's already on it. I knew
I'm on it. I've been talking to
Alicia,
the faculty about this. I actually met with some people this morning. So the way that commencement works right now is they have 1 commencement a year, but you can choose to walk in the spring before you finish your classes or the spring after you finish your classes. The benefit of walking the spring after you finish your classes is if you've earned any honors, those are going to be given after you finish all of your classes, not before. But I did speak with Ariane and Ashley Zaya this morning, and they were talking to me about the commencement ceremony and all of the events that take place the whole week before. It sounds like a really great event. There's not a separate commencement for the OHJD program, but I don't think that it's necessary. There's plenty of space for all of the students, regardless of how large the classes are at this point. And so, yeah, that's how commencement works. It will just be in the spring each year, and there aren't any plans to change that at this point.
And Dan, may I touch on those last events before we end?
Yeah, that would be great. Thanks.
Great. So, Katie, I had mentioned this event earlier. Our Dean, Beth McCormick, it happens to be on a committee. The bar exam that you all are going to be taking is a different bar exam that's been administered for preceding graduates. It's called the Next Generation Bar Exam, and Dean McCormick is going to do a presentation about what's different about that and what Vermont Law School is doing to prepare you all. One of the things she is doing is, we have all that bar prep that we talked about before that you get before and after and as part of your program, but also that she already has our teachers, our professors teaching towards that more practical exam that you're going to experience. So that will be March 26th from 6 to 7 p.m. And I put the links in the chat. And if you're military or military family, on April 2nd, we're doing an event about our military families and how the hybrid JD works for them. And then on April 8th, there'll be just an overview of the hybrid JD program. There'll be more technical pieces about the program. So we look forward to seeing you at those events. And if you ever have any questions about the hybrid program, I also put my contact information and my calendar in the chat. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. And if anybody missed getting your question answered, feel free to reach out and we'll take care of that as well.
Thank you, everyone. It's so good to see you. Thank you, Robbie, Alicia, Brittany, and all of you. Very exciting.
Okay.
And again, thank you, Alicia, for your groundbreaking. Like, she's rolling out all the kinks for you all.
We'll have to name an award or something after.
Yeah.
I think that Tammy and Professor Power are just going to be grateful when I graduate and they don't have to deal with it anymore.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening, afternoon, maybe morning.
Mm-hmm.